And we've got Kory Ponting versus Javier Arevalo, sorry. And it looks like another sort of, let's see, Esper. Oh, it's Deathrite Esper, or what did Brian Deathblade, Esper Deathblade. Oh, there we go. We have it on the screen. Thank you, Choi. Well, you know, we had it as 4-color blade earlier. Yes, Choi, you are more creative than Jeremy, or at least you're just listening to what Brian called his list, apparently. So, Kory Ponting on Omnitel or No Intel.
Now, this is a much more interesting matchup in many ways. And I'm going to take that back ever so slightly. I thought that there were some main deck Force of Wills in Javier's list, but that is not the case. He does have 5 fast removal, discards in Thoughtseize and Inquisition. And he also has 2 Liliana, 3 Jace. I'm actually a little surprised that Kory lost to this in game 1. But I mean, the thing is, you can absolutely have that game where they go, you know, turn 1 Inquisition, turn 2 Dark Confidant, turn 3 Thoughtseize Inquisition, turn 4 Liliana, and just really get you.
Yeah, now we are in game 2, so it's post board, and he does have access to 3 copies of Force of Will, 2 more counter spells, 2 copies of Surgical Extractions, 2 Vendilion Clicks, so several answers. Oh, 2 more additional Thoughtseize, 1 additional Thoughtseize. So kind of a lot that he can work with against Omnitel out of the board. Kory Ponting, on the other hand, on the No Intel side of things.
Yep, that No Intel, the distinction being Omniscience. Omniscience costs, I think, 87 mana, and what it does is it makes it so that your spells are free. Now, normally Omniscience would be an incredibly difficult spell to cast. Look at that mana requirement there. As I said, 73 mana.
Yeah.
But if you put it into play for free with a Show and Tell, well, that means that everything else you do becomes free, and it can be pretty crazy. This deck runs Burning Wish to get into Petals of Insight, and from there, that's your whole deck.
So each one of those blue mana symbols represents 22 mana, is that right?
Oh no, it's the 7 represents 70, and then the 3 blue is 30.
I thought it was 22 plus 22 plus 22, 66 plus 7, 73.
Caracas for Javier Arevalo. So Deathrite Shaman and Caracas in play. Now, the way that the Omnitel deck wins, it can win with Gristlebrand, it can win with Emrakul. Caracas a neat answer to either of those as victory conditions, but it can also win with Grape Shot. Kory Ponting putting a 3rd land into play.
I don't think he punted by putting a 3rd land into play, Adrian.
And Javier Arevalo.
Gonna crack his Flooded Strand there. Yeah, we finished each other's things.
Sentences.
That's it.
Access to 4 mana here from Javier.
Looks like we've got an Inquisition of Kozilek.
A few more moving parts in Kory's list than the list that we just saw from Todd Anderson.
Inquisition on the stack. You know what Monty Python says?
I do not.
Nobody expects the Kozilek Inquisition.
Gotcha. Inquisition takes out a red Elemental Blast from Kory. See, Gristlebrand, Force of Will, Force of Will.
I think it may have been Spanish Inquisition, now that I think about it.
Geist of St. Traff put into play, using a land of Kory Ponting's from his graveyard to fuel it through the Deathrite Shaman. He's got a Force of Will in his hand, so right now, because Kory has a Force of Will himself, the gates are somewhat down for just a moment.
Yeah, double Force, double Gristlebrand in Kory's hand.
If Kory draws a Show and Tell right now, I think that he'll take this game over, but it has to be right now. Otherwise, we're going to see a very fast clock that could end this game quite rapidly.
Yeah. We saw it last round how quickly a Geist of St. Traft can end the game. And of course, if you play Standard at all, you are well aware of how quickly a Geist of St. Traft can end a game. It applies to Standard, it also applies to Legacy. If you don't have an answer to that card, quickly it will end you. And,
so
Kory does not
draws Burning Wish.
Yeah, not a show and tell, but
side.
I was just gonna say, but not a dead card at all.
Yeah, sideboard Counterspell in Javier Arevalo's hand. This means that he can do a lot to put up resistance against Kory. Meanwhile, hitting him for a total of potentially 8 a turn with the 6 from the Geist plus Angel and the 2 from the Deathrite Shaman. This is a real problem right now for Kory.
Yeah. Also, Kory, no access to red mana, so that Burning Wish, not a dead card, assuming he can cast it. But if he can't cast it, it is absolutely a dead card.
Another Deathrite Shaman.
Finds that access to red mana, though. Scalding Tarn.
There is a Pyroclasm in his sideboard, but he has to get that to resolve.
What is that white card in Javier's hand? Full Art Disenchant? Okay. That's what Choi says it is. We'll go with that. Makes sense as well. It's just a little tough to see it. You're gonna bring that up on the screen for us, Choi? You don't have that one? Okay. No problem. Javier has it. We'll just look at it in his hand. You see a Counterspell, Force of Will, Disenchant, and one other card in Javier's hand. What's the card behind the Disenchant? Have you seen that? Do you know what it might be?
I was not able to check that out from this angle.
It may be Snapcaster Mage. That's what it kind of... It looks like it's a blue card with dark art. That's why I think it's Snapcaster.
That looked like a Snapcaster to me.
Yeah, it is. So he's got Snapcaster, Disenchant, Counterspell, Force of Will. Plenty of blue cards to use with Force of Will. Also, can just naturally counterspell something if he has 2 blue up, which at the moment he does not. So Scalding Tarn.
Well, he can make a blue with that Deathrite Shaman.
That's right, he could. So Kory has cracked his fetch and found a volcanic island with the Scalding Tarn. Does Deathrite Shaman just do everything?
Deathrite Shaman's awesome.
It says it in the text box. Does anything you want it to do. That and Jace the Mind Sculptor.
It's also an elf.
Yeah, I mean, and a shaman. Well,
the elf part seems pretty awesome.
I don't think the shaman part's that relevant. All right, so Kory.
Burning Wish being cast. What do you think, Javier? How do you feel about that?
He says, go ahead, wish for what you want. Kory decides what he would like, what he would wish for if he had one wish. One burning wish. It's important. He finds a Pyroclasm. He wishes he had a Pyroclasm, and his wishes came true.
I would wish for more wishes.
Yeah, that would be...
Of course, he would probably die before you got to use them.
Yeah, you have to cast all those wishes, and then finally, like, by the time you have all these things that you want, and you can't really get anywhere with it. So, Deathrite Shaman gonna remove a Pyroblast from Kory's graveyard and do a little damage. So with double Deathrite, Geist of St. Traft, 10 damage represented on the board. Here comes Geist and the Angel. There's 6 of that 10. Deathrite Shamans each representing another 2 each.
Main phase Brainstorm coming after that?
Yes.
Looks like it. Hunting for some land. Or some more blue spells for that matter.
Knows that if he doesn't have an answer for Pyroclasm from Kory, he's going to lose his Deathrite Shamans. He may even be fine with that and just decide, I'm going to activate the Shamans and then go ahead and... yeah, no, he's not going to let that happen. He's going to lose both his Deathrite Shamans and his Geist of St. Traft. For some reason, I was just looking at the Shamans. Angel token being retrieved, I believe. Kory at 4. Is that accurate? If Kory's at 4, is there just not? I mean, if Kory's at 4, doesn't Javier just death rate him to death?
Well, he has to have enough black. If the life totals are accurate, he does not have enough black to finish him.
You're right. That's what it is. Brainstorm resolves. So he's Dark Confidant, Wasteland, and I'm going to hide that card, says Javier. Oh, it is a counterspell.
Okay.
Ice Age counterspell.
He can Wasteland that volcanic island.
That's another way of stopping that Pyroclasm.
Well, and not to mention his counterspell plus Force of Will in hand.
That also stops Pyroclasm. But he's going to go ahead and do it every which way he can. Going to go ahead and waste that, force Kory to draw a red source here.
I believe there are no longer any outs for Kory.
Does Kory have, how many red sources does he have? I mean, he's got to have.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. He's not going to be able to. With the hand Javier has, he can cast the Pyroclasm with that top deck of the correct land. Then Javier will counterspell it with some form or other. Kory will counterspell back with Force of Will, tossing Force of Will, and Javier will fight that last counterspell war with either the counterspell or the Force of Will, whichever one he didn't cast, and thus seal Kory's fate.
I'm with you on all that. So Kory finds another volcanic island. He's going to try to cast the Pyroclasm with Force of Will backup.
Here it comes.
There's Pyroclasm.
Counterspell off of land and Deathrite Shaman.
Kory says, I will force, removing Force. Javier says, I will force, removing Snapcaster Mage, or removing Counterspell.
Jeez.
Kory says, no answer, and Javier Arevalo over Kory Ponting. 2-0. Esper Deathblade over Omnitel. And if you're wondering what Esper Deathblade is, it's just Esper Stoneblade with Deathrite Shaman.
Yep. No, that is who coined that? Was that New Choi that coined that? Was that you that coined it?
It was Brian Brown Dwin, I believe, that coined it, because that was what it was tweeted. He did that deck tech with Ruben.
Boys to Men ABC BBD?
Yes, that guy.
Yeah.
Color Me Bad.
No, BBD. Okay, cool, Brian.